The two of them ran up the path to the school as the bell rang, signaling that they only had a few more minutes to get to class or they would be in trouble. I can't believe he kept us so late. So much for breakfast, Chrissy complained as she pulled Cammy along behind her, up to the stairs in front of the school. I'm sorry I wasn't more help cleaning up, Cammy said as they began taking the stairs two at a time. Hey, it's okay. You were just freaking out a bit after dealing with that jerk. I get it. She got on top. She got to the top and looked back to see Cammy just standing there, several steps down from the top. Hey, what's wrong? We gotta get inside before we get in trouble. Cammy looked up, and Chrissy could tell she was trying her best not to cry. No, you don't. You yell at anyone who makes you mad, or try to fight anyone that does something bad to you. That's absolutely amazing, and I'm nothing like that. I froze up on the bus because I was so scared he would hurt me, and I didn't know what to do. You would have kicked that guy's butt, but I just sat there. Chrissy could tell this was serious, as Cammy never talked about fighting like it would solve anything. Cammy, you aren't like me, that's true. You solve things by thinking them through, or by killing with kindness. You're an amazing person in your own special way. Don't worry about that stupid jerk. She grabbed Cammy's hand and pulled her up to the top of the stairs and towards the front door of the school. Now, seriously, we have to get to class before we're late. When they reached the front door, Chrissy yanked it open, but instead of the crowded halls she was expecting, she saw a red jacket way too big for the guy wearing it. Long, greasy hair and that smirk that made Chrissy's skin crawl. What do you want, Donovan? Chrissy could feel Cammy trying to hide behind her as she asked this, and did her best not to show how uncomfortable she was because of it. No one wants to talk to you, Bean Queen. Move. Chrissy honestly couldn't tell how to feel. Bean Queen? What is that even supposed to mean? Why are boys so stupid? Just go away. We're about to be late for class. Donovan laughed loudly, but still didn't get out of the way. You want to call me stupid when you couldn't even catch the bus at your own house? Yeah, everyone's heard about that. You thought that was the wrong bus and told it to leave. Chrissy gave him a strange look. That's not what happened. He drove off without me. Mr. Cohen is just a jerk like that. Now move. She started to walk past him, but he put his hand out in front of her, blocking her path. Yeah, well, that's not what I told everyone. And no one heard what the driver said to you, so no one disagreed with it. That's how easy it is to start a rumor, and it can't even be called out as a lie. Chrissy tried to push past him, but he was much stronger than she was and wouldn't budge an inch. Okay, fine, spread out whatever rumors you want. I don't care. Just move so we can get to class. A big smile spread across his face as he moved his arm to let them both pass. See, all you had to do was say please. After all, a rumor's just a rumor. Doesn't matter what anyone thinks of you, right? Chrissy felt a lump in her throat as they walked down the hall, away from where Donovan stood by the door. She could tell what types of rumors he wanted to spread about her, but she couldn't do anything about him right now. Go ahead, say whatever you have to. It's the only way you can be with a girl, right? Chrissy stopped walking and looked back in absolute shock. Cammy? What? She yelled before collapsing onto the ground in laughter. Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. Chrissy kept laughing while Cammy's face was turning darker and darker shades of red. I, I, um, I just... Chrissy stopped laughing and grabbed Cammy's hand as she stood back up. It's okay, that was good. Really good. They both jumped at the sound of the door closing as Donovan finally let it go. What the heck is that supposed to mean? Donovan yelled in anger as he walked towards them. Cammy quickly lost her confidence and froze, squeezing tight on Chrissy's arm. She means that some slimeball like you can't impress anyone, Chrissy said as she pulled Cammy behind her. I'm not talking to you, Beans. He grabbed Chrissy by the arms, pulled her away from Cammy, pushing her back towards the door. I'm talking to the one that never even talks. Not in class, not on the bus, not even at lunch. Like she's too good for anybody. He leaned down and got in her face, which was nearly solid white and shaking. And I was letting her get away with it since she's so cute. Never acts bad, never talks back, never says no. At this point, Chrissy hit him across the back with her backpack and yelled, Leave her alone, you jerk. But it didn't do much to him. He reached up, put his hand on her shoulder and asked, "Are you going to say no?" Cammy was too scared, shaking so badly that she couldn't say anything, which made Donovan just start laughing. Chrissy kicked him in the back of his leg, which made him drop to one knee, still holding on to Cammy's shoulder. He held the neck of her shirt and pulled himself up on it, making several threads noisily snap. He let go of her shirt, but turned around to get right in Chrissy's face. "Do you really want me that badly? You're too jealous of me having your friend?" He backed her against the locker, his breath like hot compost. "Anybody jealous of you is psychotic," she said as she kicked him hard in the shin. He yelled out in pain and backed up, holding his hurt leg. Chrissy took advantage of this opportunity to run around him and grab Cammy's hand, pulling her off the ground. As they started running, Cammy's hand was suddenly pulled from hers. When she looked back, Donovan was behind Cammy, holding both of her hands down. "Let go of her," Chrissy yelled, not sure what she could even do at this point. "You're not her mom. I'm not a bad person. I'll stop if she tells me to or says no." He laughed and then, to her horror, put his mouth to Cammy's neck. Cammy turned red and started squirming against the hands holding hers in place, stuttering and squealing, but never forming any words. Tears started flowing down her face as her knees buckled and she fell to the floor. Donovan started laughing harder until suddenly he fell on the floor beside her. Chrissy had been watching Cammy and didn't even see what happened. She looked over at Donovan laying on the ground and saw another pair of legs behind him. Looking up, she could see that it was actually Stephen, her longtime crush. He was a little tall, but not too tall, and thin, but not too thin, and muscular, but not that big, gross kind of muscular. Also, he had long, straight blonde hair that she could lose herself in. Seriously, man, sexual harassment, not only not cool, but also illegal. "You girls okay?" He looked at Chrissy when asking, as Cammy was facing away from him and he couldn't see her face. Hi, yeah, we will be, I think. Thanks. That was really awesome of you to come do that." She gestured vaguely at Donovan laying on the ground. "Oh, yeah, no problem. I could tell there was a situation going on and just came running before anyone else." She laughed, not really understanding what he was saying. "What, like you've got some kind of psychic powers?" He kept a serious look, which kind of made her nervous. Uh, no, like, you've been yelling loudly, and half the school probably knows that something's been happening." He looked over at Cammy, who was still just facing the wall. "Is she gonna be okay?" he asked, gesturing over towards her. Crispy walked over to check on Cammy, putting an arm around her lightly, and when she did, Cammy flinched and started shaking really bad again. "Hey, it's okay. Donovan is out cold. That jerk honestly deserves worse." Cammy looked up with her eyes full of tears, and Chrissy didn't even know what to say to help her feel better. "Look, let's just leave him here and go to class before anyone else comes down the halls," she said as she looked at some of the classrooms that miraculously hadn't opened yet. "Yeah," Cammy finally said in a whisper. Stephen looked back and forth between them and finally spoke up. "Well, you look pretty shaken up about it. You may want to go to the nurse and tell them you're having a nervous breakdown or something. They'll either let you stay in there for a while or just send you home." Cammy tucked her chin against her chest and didn't say anything. After a few moments, Stephen got the hint that she wasn't going to talk to him. "Sorry, I know you helped us, but she's got extremely bad social anxiety, and then this whole thing on top of it. Thank you so much for helping us, but we really gotta go." She held Cammy with her arm and started walking down the hallway towards their class, when she heard Stephen speak up behind him. "Hey, wait up." The sound of the front door of the school opening echoed through the hall, and when Chrissy turned around, she was horrified to see the principal, Mr. Gray, walking in with Mr. Cohen right behind him. He was tall and muscular with very dark skin and clean-shaven head. He wore a suit that looked almost too small for him, but at his size, suits probably had to be custom made. They were having a heated conversation when Mr. Cohen stopped and just stared into the hallway. Mr. Gray was still looking back and talking, so he had not seen what had caused the other man to pause. Should there be any more problems, just come talk to me." He finished talking and turned to walk in, ignoring the other man's change in demeanor, but suddenly stopped and looked furiously at the scene before him. What is going on? Can somebody tell me why this boy is on the ground? Stephen looked at Mr. Gray with a nervous smile and held his shoulders up. He was starting trouble with these nice girls, and I defended them? Chrissy wasn't sure if he was telling them what happened or asking if it did. Mr. Gray, we were just. The principal held up his hand and cleared his throat loudly. Young lady, it's Doctor. Dr. Gray. Chrissy did her best not to roll her eyes. She knew he worked really hard for a doctorate and was really proud of himself, but expecting a bunch of kids and teenagers to call him doctor all the time was honestly ridiculous. She knew now wasn't the time to do anything to get on his bad side, though. Dr. Gray, we were just trying to get to class on time, but Donovan kept telling us, trying to talk to us, and wait, that's the troublemakers from this morning, starting fights on the bus and throwing trash around the place. Mr. Cohen couldn't have picked a worse time to chime in, and Chrissy couldn't figure out how she could explain things now. I see. So, this young man was trying to talk to you, and you didn't like that. So you started a fight with him, and this young man came to the rescue. Is that right? He had said most of this about Chrissy and Cammy, but was looking at Stephen. Dr. Gray, we didn't start a fight this morning. I dropped my muffin this morning on the bus and didn't know whose fault it was, and so I... Okay, that's enough, Dr. Gray yelled, making her stop talking. You already started trouble. I heard all about that. We can get all that sorted in the office and with your parents. Both of you, he added as he looked over at Cammy. Mr. Cohen could be seen just nodding his head in agreement. I mean, I barely realized they were here. I think he was just talking to them when I came up and took a swing at him. Dr. Gray looked at him curiously. Is that right? And why'd you do that? Stephen laughed and crossed his arms like he was trying to be the protagonist in an anime. Just wanted to test what kind of level I'm at. Dr. Gray looked at him confused for a moment, and then looked back over at Chrissy and Cammy before saying, So, you were jealous because he was talking to one of these girls? Your girlfriend? Chrissy immediately felt her face get hot as she squeezed Cammy's hand, pulling it closer to her. Dr. Gray noticed her reaction, and so did Stephen. Yeah, that's right. He was trying to talk to my girlfriend, and I had to step in and do something about it. Dr. Gray stood there looking back and forth between the two girls and Stephen, and then back over at Donovan, still passed out on the floor. All three of you, follow me to my office. Mr. Cohen, please try to get that student to the nurse, and I will be right back. He started walking down the hall, not waiting for anyone to respond. Like heck I will, Mr. Cohen shouted. Do I look like I can drag around someone nearly twice my size? The kid's a foot taller than me. It was strange for the old man to complain about his height so much. He was average height, if not a little taller. I'll be back to help. I have to take these three to the office first. He gave the group an intense look and made a gesture for them to follow him. Why are you taking them? I said I was the one who did it. Stephen tried his best to stand up for them, but Dr. Gray just sounded more annoyed with them. Because they already started trouble today, and I want to get to the bottom of all this. I need to make sure that you're just not just trying to take the punishment for your girlfriend. Stephen stopped protesting as he could tell it would only get them in more trouble. Cammy was still silently standing in shock. She had stopped crying, but didn't look like she was listening to anything. Dr. Gray turned and started walking down the hall, expecting the group to follow, which they did. As they walked away from the scene, they could hear Mr. Cohen cursing as he tried to move Donovan. Dr. Gray led them past several classrooms, past numerous lockers to his office in the back of the school, which was separate from the main office in the front. Okay, everyone find a seat, he said as he held open the door, leading them into the small office. It didn't have much room, and currently there was only one brown folding chair across from his ripped office chair. Where? Chrissy asked, trying not to cover her nose. There was a lingering odor in the air, like stale food and sweat, even though the room looked tidy. You've got hands, don't you? I'll be back in a few minutes. Take one and don't go anywhere. He pointed to the corner of the room where several more folding chairs were leaned neatly against the wall. He turned and quickly left the room, pulling the door shut behind him. So, do we make a run for it now, or wait? Chrissy joked, hoping to lighten the mood. Honestly, you two should just say that you were trying to get to class. I knocked him out. You two were trying to get away from him. Chrissy looked over at him and felt her face grow warm. In all the excitement, she forgot who was sitting next to her. Um, thanks, but that's not a good idea. I mean, you didn't just knock him out for no reason, right? I mean, you did it to, you, you did it to, Her words trailed off and her mind rushed. He came running because he heard me screaming. He did it to protect me, she thought to herself. I did it to save your friend from that creep, yeah. Chrissy felt all her hopes crash down in her heart, but more than that, she felt like a selfish jerk for thinking it was about her. She looked back at Cammy, who was staring at her hands in her lap, and reached out to hold hands with her. Exactly. I don't know what we would have done without you. Stephen gave her a smile that could have melted her steel, and said, It's okay. You don't have to find out. Call me any time that guy needs fixing again. Call me? Is he for real? She felt her heart quicken as different thoughts flooded her mind. I am a terrible friend. Before she could say anything, though, the door to the office opened again and Dr. Gray walked back in. Okay, that's one situation handled. Now, hopefully, we can work this one out as quickly and easily. He squeezed around the desk, barely making it to his office chair, and sat down. Okay, so who wants to start? He looked from one to the other until his eyes settled on Cammy, who was still looking down. Young lady, would you look up at me, please? Cammy slowly raised her head to look at him. Yes, sir, she said in a small voice. He looked at her for a moment, taking in the emotions written across her face. Do you think you could answer some questions for me? Cammy looked at Chrissy out of the corner of her eye and took a deep breath, but before she answered, there was a knock on the door, and a middle-aged woman with large glasses peeked inside. I'm sorry, Dr. Gray. I don't mean to interrupt, but there's an emergency situation. You may want to check out the ETV news. The principal looked at her with a very confused face. What kind of emergency would be bad enough to barge in here? The woman shuffled her feet nervously, seemingly scared of upsetting the older man. It's a very big emergency, sir. The board is deciding to evacuate after attendance is taken. Dr. Gray stood up and looked at her furiously. We haven't even started first class. How could they order an evacuation without even asking me? I'm the one in charge at this school. The secretary looked scared, like she wanted to run away. Chrissy thought it was really weird because the principal had never been a dangerous person. Sir, please, just check the news. I have to go. As she said the last few words, she started running out of the room, and her steps could be heard running down the hallway as the door slowly closed behind her. What in the world is happening? He asked out loud as he turned on his small ETV and switched it over to the news.